What is going on? Sorry we missed last week, but we are back for week 10. We got some great topics loaded up in the Fantasy Roulette Wheel. We're talking trades. We got breakouts and panic meter. We also have the Midseason Blues for Underdog Pick'ems. The Forgotten Fantasy Player is mine tonight, and I got a great one for y'all. And, of course, we got our nonsense draft, so hang tight. Got to find my drop here. I wasn't ready. There we go.
For two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, and welcome to episode 442 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I am your host, of course, Geoff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeoffLambert77. I'm here with my two co-hosts. We have Chew. You can follow him at Father Dynasty. What's up, Chew?
What's up, y'all? Yeah, just excited that we got last week to take off, so we could kind of build up for the best shows of the season right now. So,
absolutely,
that's a big statement.
That's a big statement for sure.
Big statement.
Of course, also joining us is Ryan Searfoss at Foss534. What's up, Ryan?
Not much. Glad to be back.
Absolutely.
I feel like it was way longer than a week.
It does feel that way. I'm even like, in the chat here, someone's saying amateur hour because I was out of sync on my intro there. I was not ready for the drop. I was like, oh shit, I don't even have it up yet. So
if you had the sound on, I was singing it before you started.
Could have just
know all the words by now. Yeah.
For sure. I think I am a Pepsi person is also a Panthers fan there, Chew. So you have some love there. All right. As always, guys, we're here every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. on the Going for Two Live Podcast Network. We got a great group of shows on the network. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us. We are live on Facebook Live, YouTube, and we're syndicated in all major podcast networks. You can also find all of our links to everything over at goingfor2.com. And we're going to go ahead and get into our nonsense draft for the night. But before we do that, let's pay some bills. Have you tried FastDraft yet? It is the quickest way to draft and win cash in under 5 minutes. Perfect for your lunch break or your coffee line. Use our promo code GF2 and get a deposit match up to $50. Double the cash, double the action. Head to fastdraft.com. Use our promo code GF2. Sign up and start winning today.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right, tonight we are drafting movies in which the sequel was better than the original. So any of those movies, it could be old movies, it could be new movies, and it doesn't have to be the part 2. It can be part 3 or part 4 or part 7, whatever one you think. If it's better than the original, you can still use it. So Ryan, you got the 101 here.
Ooh, I have 2 that I was really debating, but just knowing who's here, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so good. Like beginning to end, and it ending in just total tragedy, leading into the third one. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is definitely, and of course has one of the most famous plot twists. With Darth Vader saying that he's Luke Skywalker's father. Spoiler
alert.
Yeah.
In case you haven't seen it, yeah.
In case you haven't seen it yet, it's pretty new.
All right, Chew, you got the 102 here.
So I've got 2 that I think are 2 of the best, but I think there's a third one that I think I probably need to get out of the way so it's not taken, and that is The Dark Knight. So I think that one's a pretty clear cut for me. I really like that trilogy as a whole, but I think The Dark Knight was a huge step up from the first one.
Yeah, lucky you went with there because I was going to go with that with the next pick. That was going to be my 103 there. So you sniped me on that one.
I would not. I'm a hater.
Yeah, you are a hater. I remember this conversation when we did a similar topic before. All right, so I got the 103 here, and I'll go with my second best pick. It's a little bit of an older movie, but it has sort of stood the test of time. There's been a bunch of movies since then, sort of built around this same universe, and that is the movie from 1986, Aliens, with an S on it. Alien was good. Aliens was 10 times better, and of course, they've built a whole universe around it, and there's been multiple renditions of it ever since. So I'll take Aliens at my first pick at 103.
Nice.
New one was great. Newest one.
I have
Need to
not
watch
seen
the
it
show.
yet. Yeah, I have not seen it
Newest one was great. Need to watch the show still.
for sure.
Good things.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it as well. All right, Ryan, you got the 201 here.
I was gonna go a different way, but Chu brought up superhero movies, and there's one true superhero sequel that trumps them all, and that's Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Good choice.
It's like a spy thriller. You have just some of the most brutal one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat scenes in almost any movie with him and Bucky. It's perfect. It's a perfect movie.
Love it. Yeah, that's a great choice. All right, Chu, you got the 202 here.
So this one is really my 101. I was running out of having three that I feel like I was going to be able to confidently say was a better sequel. Home Alone 2. It has a lot of the same
Ooh!
tropes from Home Alone, but it definitely revamps them. And then you put them in New York City. You know, it's just the scale is better. It's still a lot of the same characters, but it's the best.
I mean, that'll upset some people, but you're not wrong. It's so good. Like if we had this episode closer to Christmas, there would be some controversy.
Yeah,
But
would be.
I support that.
Stoking fire.
Love it. All right, I'm up at the 203, and I'm going to go with a sequel that was 36 years in the making. The original came out in 1986, and they just released part two back in 2022. It's the movie Maverick, which is part two of Top Gun. That I thought Top Gun was pretty good. Maverick, I didn't think was going to be good. I kind of had low expectations for it, but it came out. It was really hyped. I think it came out. It was still post COVID. People were still kind of a little nervous to go to the movie theaters, but it did really well. I ended up watching it streaming, and I've watched it probably 3 or 4 or 5 times ever since. So Maverick is my 203 here. Let's see. Back to you at the 301 here, Chu.
I thought on the 301.
Oh, wait, Ryan.
You're right. Ryan, you're the 301. Sorry.
There's so many good ones left, and there's so many that are just like the typical pick. So I'm kind of zig a little bit. I'm going with Bad Boys 2.
That's a good choice.
The first one was good, but this one was so much funnier. The action was up. The scene where where they meet the boyfriend for the first time is one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in anything.
That
I
was
love
great,
that movie.
for sure. That is
And a
great.
comedy sequel being better than the first is rare.
Yes, for sure. Great choice. All right, Chu, you got the 302, your last choice here. What you got?
And this is another easy one for me. And shout out to Alfredo Brown. I had him on my podcast, my first iteration of my podcast, and he shared the same sentiment. And I didn't know that anyone else even believed this with me. Rush Hour 2. I know they made a number of those movies, but in the same way of Home Alone 2, like you can do some of the same things from the original, but it's just where you take it and what the scale is and everything. Just, the plot was still good, standalone. Like it was fantastic.
Yes, good choice. I like that one. That was not on my list. All right, I will round us out here, and let's see. I got a couple that I wanted to get through. You know what? I'm gonna go with the one with the whole reason at the front of the show. I said it could be a part 2 or a part 3 or part 4 or part 5 is because of this movie. This is a trilogy, and I think all 3 parts of this trilogy are actually really, really good. Probably the best of the trilogies in this whole universe. But Volume 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, was by far the best of the 3. I loved all 3 of them, but the last one was really, really good. It set up the I think they're going to make new Guardians of the Galaxy. It set up the new characters pretty well. Had a great storyline, so I like that movie a lot. So Guardians 3, if you have not seen that trilogy, it is excellent.
It is. That third one, it's a one-time watch. That's too sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Mm.
For sure.
It's too sad. It's too sad to watch multiple times. So
Yeah,
DQ'd.
100%.
Dude,
All
shout out
right.
to Terminator 2, by the way. I feel bad not saying because it's so good.
Yes, that
Oh,
was on my list, and I just figured. Honestly, I thought one of y'all were going to take it because that was kind of one of the ones that always gets taken, but
yeah.
nobody took it. But yeah,
And
agree. Honorable mention for sure.
and I'm so glad nobody said The Godfather 2 because it's too basic.
Yes, for sure. All right, let's get the roulette wheel.
Let's get ready for Armchair Fantasy Roulette.
All right, y'all know how this works. We're going to spin the wheel and see what topics come up here. All right off the bat here. So JJ Zacharyson on Twitter puts out this data dump every week where he just puts out stats from the past week, and just you can kind of react to it how you want. So the stat that he put out on Rico Dowdle outsnapped Chuba Hubbard 42-13 on Sunday, and per PFF ran 12 routes to Hubbard's 4. And Dowdle became the first running back to rush for over 100 yards against the Packers this year. He had 130. I'm going to go to you, Chew. I know we talked about Dowdle before, and we were a little bit skeptical, but he seems to be legit, and he seemed to have taken the starting job from Hubbard, who actually had an extension this offseason.
I mean, the only note I wrote down was stud in all caps. Just I can't believe that this has actually worked out in the Panthers' favor. That I love the move in the offseason. I felt like it was more so just a way to stabilize the backfield because I think last year Dave Canales, he wanted to commit to the run, but the offense was just so bad he kept having to retreat and and go to the pass, which did not end super well. But they're able to establish the run this year despite having a number of injuries in the offensive line. I feel like they're hitting their stride as a whole on offense, and Rico Dowdle has been a huge piece of that. It has not been a flash in the pan. Those two monstrous games a couple weeks ago, and it's not really a slight to Chuba Hubbard necessarily. I know he's the one that's been paid, but I think Canales understands. Not that he's necessarily in a hot seat, but he'd be foolish not to be playing Dowdle in at least a 60-40 split to Hubbard, if not more like a 70-30 or so. And I love what I'm seeing, and they have an easy schedule from a opponent defensive standpoint, so he's going to feast.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go to you, Ryan, on this next one. How do you feel about Dowdle going forward, and any hope for Hubbard?
Um,
Retention of his fantasy value here.
I think Dowdle's a league winner right now, for to be honest. Like, if you picked him up or you had him, he's a fantasy superstar at the moment. Like, he's a must start. I like Chuba Hubbard. I think he's a good number 2, but he is not start worthy until a reason we don't want to talk about.
Yeah,
Like, it's Rico's backfield.
yeah, I agreed. I think this shows it more than anything, and that stat at the end there, being the only running back to rush for over 100 yards against the Packers this year, is pretty astounding as well, because the Packers have been a really good defense against the run, and it didn't matter, right? It still was Rico lighting them up. So
Right. And like 4 years, 33 million for Hubbard isn't like you have to play this guy no matter what because we paid you so much. It's not like he's a 15 a year running back.
right,
You
yep,
can you can run the other guy and not look like an idiot.
And he's a leader of the team too. Like I know he doesn't have to necessarily be getting a bulk of the touches to have an impact on the team. Even though he doesn't seem too selfish to be like, I've got my money, I earned it, but like, I'll whatever you need me to do.
yeah, he wants to win.
Mm.
That's a good trait to have for sure. All right, let's get our next topic on the board. All right, panic meter. Ashton Genty, Ryan. I'm gonna go to you first on this one. Had a couple good games there, and then he's kind of been back to being eh. The Raiders are kind of an eh team. Outside of Brock Bowers, they just traded away Jacoby Myers. What is your panic meter rest of the season for Ashton Genty?
I mean, this is a little bit of a reaction. He's still RB13. And I know he was drafted a little bit higher, but what, 4 spots, 5 spots? And he's just outside of RB1. It's not as bad as we're making it. I don't feel great the rest of the season minus the Dallas game, His schedule's a little bit rough coming up, but he still gets enough volume where he's playable in most cases, unless Brock Bowers, just goes nuclear.
Yes.
But like he's still playable.
Yeah.
It's like it's not as bad as we think. We still in the last few weeks, RB5, he did have the 43, RB12, RB15, RB1. Like he's had good weeks. It's just not as consistent, but he's a rookie on a bad offense.
Yeah, I think expectations for him was that he was going to come out and just be dominant from day one, and he hasn't been. He's had good games, like you said, and people are kind of down on him because this offense hasn't been so great either. On top of that, what about you,
It's
Chu? Go ahead. Sorry, Ryan. What are you going to say?
Oh, I just spoiled fantasy fans for these guys who've blown up rookie year and
Yeah,
gone like 1,500 yards. He's still gonna be pretty close to 1,000-yard rusher. Probably is. He's at 487 right now. Like it's not that terrible.
yeah, agreed. He's just not putting up a ton of touchdowns, but yeah, for sure. What about you, Chu? What are your thoughts here? Panic meter on Ashton Genty?
There's not really one. I mean, I think what a lot of people maybe expected coming into the season. I think since then you likely have adjusted your expectation for him, and where that expectation is kind of adjusted to, I think is just kind of where it's going to be sitting. So I don't think it's panic in the sense of like he started off going nuclear for the first 3 weeks and then he's just gotten tremendously worse. Like it's been tough sledding for much of the season for him, and his situation is not changing. It's not really getting any better, not really getting any worse necessarily. Again, I know they lost a receiving threat there, but if anything, I mean, I think last week I think he had like five receptions, and I think his most on the season in one game is 7 targets. Can't remember how many receptions he got in that game. So I mean, if anything, hopefully maybe he gets a couple more looks in the passing game, but otherwise it's just volume for him. And he's not your RB1 likely, and you probably drafted him to be that, but it is what it is.
Is what it is. Yeah, for sure. And like Ryan said, he's not as bad as people are making him out to be. It's just the expectations were that he was going to be God's gift to fantasy running backs in season one, and he definitely was not.
And I don't think his dynasty value should change that much.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like if you viewed him one way before the season, I don't think it should be more than a couple spots different.
Yeah. Agreed. We had a question in the chat here going back to our Rico Dowdle talk, but I wanted to bring this up real quick. He's talking about Brooks. Chu, I'll go to you. Obviously on IR, second year on IR. Is he still a thing there in Carolina, or you think he's donezo?
So I guess it helps being a Panthers fan and being familiar with Thomas Davis's career, the linebacker who I think had 3 ACL tears throughout his career. And I kind of think of it actually works because I think of the explosivity needed from the running back position and from the linebacker position is probably the most comparable of any positions in the NFL. I don't think he's done, but I do think that they went into the season. He immediately had went on the pup, and there was no expectation of him coming back this season. I think that's why they got Rico, and they were like, if we have the embarrassment of riches of actually having Brooks come back sometime next year, he have a full off season, build up and everything like that, that'd be fantastic. If they don't, and they are able to actually retain Rico Dowdle, they're going to be perfectly fine. So I think they kind of just purely treat him as like, all right, it's a sunken cost of a second round pick that we used to get him. Maybe we shouldn't have done that with the state of the team at that point, but we did it. He's on the roster. If he comes back healthy, awesome. If not, oh well.
Yep, time to move on. Yep, I agree. All right, next topic is talking about league winners, which Ryan just kind of mentioned Rico Dowdle as a league winner. This is from Joe Orico FF on Twitter. Every season we see league winners break out down the stretch. Last year it was Brian Thomas Jr., Bucky Irving, and Jerry Jeudy. So, Ryan, you already said Rico Dowdle, but do you have another guy that's kind of on your list that's in the same vein as these 3 guys listed that could be league winners down the stretch?
Are we talking more like they haven't done it yet, or
I would say they haven't been great because I think these guys, BTJ, Bucky, and Jerry Jeudy were serviceable. They weren't otherworldly. Then they sort of ended the season like on a bang.
so? Yeah, like essentially not there yet.
Yeah.
I feel gross just saying it because I just can't give it up. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. I think we've seen a little bit more with Reset at quarterback, and I think he's been more involved, and we're seeing more and more production out of him. I think he's one. Another one is Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.
I know a new receiver on a new offense, but I think he can have a couple blow up games and possibly hit when you need him to. But he definitely has a better chance of doing it than he did in New Orleans.
Yeah, I like both of those calls. What about you, Chu? Who you got for a potential league winner?
Yeah, I'm definitely with Ryan and Shaheed. I mean, he's joining his OC from last year in New Orleans, who he thrived with. I mean, he's gonna be a smash in Seattle. When I look through it through the lens of who hasn't really done it, Colson Loveland is the only one that jumps out. Had some other names, but I feel like they've done enough to where I feel like they probably wouldn't qualify here. You know, I didn't really know what to think of the Bears offense coming into the season, and I was certainly more a Warren over Loveland kind of guy. And Warren's still fantastic. I'm not saying he's not, but Loveland has, built up to this point, and I do think he's going to have a good second half of the season. I don't think Rumbadunze is going to have a lot of zero catch games, but I do think Loveland will have a pretty stable role with some spike weeks that, it's pretty easy to have a tight end jump into the top 12, top 10 just by getting a touchdown and a couple of catches. So,
Yeah, I love it. It's a good call.
I have a guy I have an opinion on. I think could be there, but I still don't like the volume, even though he's at the last 2 weeks. Is RJ Harvey.
mm,
Yeah, yeah,
Like he has 8 and 7 touches in the last 2 weeks, but has put up a ton of points and produced.
that's a great
If
call.
there's some reason he could get some volume down the stretch, especially like for the fantasy playoffs when it's Washington, Raiders, Green Bay, Jacksonville, just somehow get involved. It could be huge.
that's his Joker.
For sure. All right. So I got two names here, and one of them is a little bit hot right now because he just had a monster game this past weekend, and I think could have potentially taken the starting job, and that's Kyle Monangai for Chicago Bears. I've been holding this guy on my bench all season long, hoping he'd get a shot, and he finally gets his shot with DeAndre Swift being out, and he absolutely showed out. I know both of them right now are listed as questionable. But I do think he's done enough that maybe they give him a bigger shot here over Swift. And he is somebody that if you were lucky enough to add him to your team this past week, he paid off dividends. And the other guy has actually not been bad all year. He's currently RB20, so I don't know if he quite qualifies for someone who hasn't done it yet. But looking at his matchups coming up, Jaylen Warren has these teams still to play. He has to play the Bengals, the Bears, the Ravens, which unfortunately are a good defense. Sorry, Ryan.
That's
And
fine.
the Dolphins. He has all those teams still on his schedule, all bad run defenses. Of course, the Dolphins are one of the worst. Bengals are also one of the worst. I think he could be a bottom half RB1 by the end of the season, and he can really kind of pop off here towards these last couple of games. So Warren to be somebody that I like as well. All right, let's get our next topic. All right, this one is from Sal Vitri at Sal Vitri DFS on Twitter. He's talking about wide receivers to add to your fantasy league before your friends do. And he's got a bunch of names here on this list. I'm just going to read them out to you, and then I want you to kind of talk about one of them that you think would be somebody you'd want to add. They got Parker Washington, Christian Watson, Troy Franklin, Jaden Reed, who's been hurt most of the season, Torrey Horton, who may have lost some value, Tez Johnson, and Alec Pierce. I'll go to you first this time, Chu. Give me a name on that list, or if you have a different name that wasn't mentioned, you can mention them as well.
Well, one of the names I had is the last one on that list, and Alec Pierce. I've been a huge fan of him coming out of Cincinnati. I've always known and referred to him as the wide receiver that made Desmond Ridder look good. He's an absolute beast. The role he has in Indianapolis, and now having a quarterback who can, I mean, honestly, with any quarterback, he's actually done reasonably well. He's had the most upside, and has not been hurt by that as much as, say, Michael Pittman has with previous quarterbacks. But Alec Pierce's role has been tremendously consistent. And while A.D. Mitchell was not a tremendous threat to his touches, the trading away of A.D. Mitchell in the bigger deal with Sauce Gardner was very indicative of the fact that Downs has his role, even though it's kind of being eaten into by Tyler Warren. Pittman has his role as the true number one. But Alec Pierce is a boundary, big play receiver. He has that home run ability that I think it's a more consistent Gabe Davis, to where, Gabe Davis had these boom weeks and we were waiting for him to develop into a more complete receiver. I'm not saying Alec Pierce is going to develop into a more complete receiver, but I think he can deliver more consistently those big boom weeks, given his skill set, given the offense as a whole, and he's just absolute stud.
Yeah, I love it. That's a good call. And you're right. They traded away what should have been his competition. That kind of puts that confidence in him that, he's going to be that guy going forward. So, yeah, that's a good call. What about you, Ryan? Is there a name on this list you want to talk about or somebody else you want to talk about?
I mean, out of the guys on this list, I like the most probably Troy Franklin, just because I think he's attached to the best quarterback. Um, he's had huge games. I think he's a boomer bust player on a week-to-week basis, but I love the skill set. I love the offense, and I think you can exploit matchups with him. I hate everything about the Green Bay receivers on there because they're the Green Bay receivers.
Yep.
But I think Parker Washington's super intriguing too, just because there's injuries there and he has a lot bigger role that could pop up.
For sure. Yeah, Parker Washington was a very popular waiver ad this past week and did pretty well. So I'm going to go with the Bucks receiver on there because you talked about the best quarterback, and I'll disagree with you. And I think Baker Mayfield's probably the best quarterback on that list. So Tez Johnson, Godwin is still up in the air if he's coming back or not. He's been out for a couple weeks now. It's after the bye week. I think he's still listed as questionable. So who knows if he comes back or not. You got Mbuka there as the rookie. You got Mike Evans that's, obviously out for the season. I think Tez Johnson can step into a pretty large role, even if Godwin does come back, because Tez Johnson plays more on the outside. I think Godwin plays mostly in the slot. So, and as much as they pass the ball in that offense, I think Tez can be a very good sneaky ad if he's somewhere on your waiver wires right now, going down the stretch here with the Bucks. I think he's got some potential.
He's so tiny. So
it was just funny the way you said that too. It just came out weird. He's so tiny. All right. Another data dump here from JJ Zacharyson talking about the Bengals defense. They have now allowed 12 tight end touchdowns this season. No other team has allowed more than 6, which is double, obviously, than any other team. It is pretty brutal for the Bengals defense. I mean, there's a bunch of different stats that we can pick here for the Bengals defense, but I'm going to go to you first, Ryan, on this. Not just looking at just the tight ends here, but how much of a bump do you give players when they're playing against a team like the Bengals? Like, is there, do you bump them in just because they're playing the Bengals and maybe bench a guy that you think is probably better overall, but just because they're playing the Bengals?
running back's huge bump. Like, I know we talked about Monangai and how he really liked him, but I mean, he was running through freaking toilet paper defense,
Sure.
like single ply, just ripping through that. So they're definitely bump. Obviously, tight end, you're gonna, unless you have a superstar, it's the right thing to do. Wide receiver, a little bit, but I don't think as big of a bump because it's still, when you're gashing a team for 8 yards a carry, you don't need to throw that much.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, everybody eats. Everybody eats against them. Everybody eats against Dallas. It's wheels up for all of them.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, obviously they're on a bye this week, but looking at their upcoming schedule, they got Pittsburgh Steelers, they have the New England Patriots, they have your Baltimore Ravens, they have the Buffalo Bills. A lot of good fancy players in those couple of games there. That's you're going to get a big bump here for Cincinnati's defense. What about you, Chu? What are your thoughts on bumping up lesser players that are playing against defenses like the Bengals?
For a lot of my leagues, I'm privy to streaming tight ends, unless I'm getting the McBride or what have you. I'm likely, or at least going to have kind of like a 2 or 3 guys that are most weeks startable, but one may have the better matchup or what have you, or there might be injured receivers around there that mean they get more touches. And this would definitely be one. Earlier in the season, I would have said, no offense to the Panthers, because of what their linebacking group looked like, I was like, well, any tight end against Panthers. And they've kind of short things up a little bit, but as you're showing there with the stats for the Bengals defense, that is atrocious.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
tight ends
so
have that
bad.
many more touchdowns. And if you're streaming a tight end, it's usually you're looking for touchdown upside. And it looks like that will be found in Cincinnati.
Absolutely. That's so on our DFS show we talk about it all the time. We call it a flow chart. And this is the flow chart defense, right? This is the defense that you're playing the tight end against this defense no matter who it is. So yeah, for sure. That's I thought that was an interesting stat there that they're double the amount of touchdowns.
Dude, that's so bad.
It's so bad.
They're historically horrendous.
Yes, they are.
It's beautiful. I love to see
Yeah,
it.
they're in your division, so you love. All right, again with the Zachary Reason data dump. Aronde Gadsden II has a route share of 77%, 79%, 91%, and 85% over his last 4 games. He's averaging 17.9 points per game during that time frame. Chu, is it time to put Gadsden in that elite category with some of those guys we talked about, like McBride and Bowers?
I get a little leery about quite that level, but I think that it's literally the one below it. And he might be on one of his own because now that we have Tucker Craft down for the year, I think that Gadsden has, it wasn't a flash in the pan. It wasn't just 1 week. And now that I know the Chargers at the trade deadline had made a move to shore up the offensive line, it was only one move, but as much as they can, considering how many injuries they've had there. This passing attack has been fantastic in LA. And with Gadsden kind of coming into his own, Harbaugh was talking him up, and far be it from anyone to disbelieve Harbaugh because it happens just like he says, with what he believes and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of it's not coach speak for him. And I think in a world where we see some of the former, like the Evan Ingrams and those guys that we trusted as like the PPR high target, big producers, those guys aging out. You see someone like Gadsden stepping in, and he's kind of the heir apparent to that kind of a role. And he's in the right offense. So, I mean, he's right up there, top 3, top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Ryan? What are you doing with Gadsden? Where are you putting him at?
Yeah, I'd say in that second tier range is a good way to put it. Like, obviously, I'm not taking him over a McBride, Ferguson, Warren, Bowers. Again, we talked about Kraft being there. I think he's right there with Laporta's and Kincaid's. I think he's in that range, give or take, and probably a little bit cheaper still. But
Yeah,
I trust her. Like, again, you trust guys who are attached to good quarterbacks.
yeah. Quarterback
And
traditionally also liked the tight end, right? I mean, I think Hunter Henry when he was there with Herbert was pretty good as well. He's traditionally been good with the tight ends. My only question with him is why did it take so long? Like why was he playing behind guys earlier in the season? I don't see how they could look at this guy and athletic as he is and as well as he's played over the last couple of games, how they
I
could think
mean,
that the other guy.
slow learning the playbook, blocking, stuff like that.
Yeah, that could be.
Figure out how to use them.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff
Yeah,
we don't see. Stuff we don't see on TV.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think he's in that just below the elite level. He's behind the Bowers and the McBrides, but I think he's got just as much upside as most of those guys. He's the athletic freak down the field, and I think he has that tight end one type weeks where he can do that. I think so. I don't know if he has quite the game that Bowers just had with the 3 touchdowns and everything else that he did, but I think Gadsden's got some tremendous upside. All right, let's do. We got time for a couple more. All right, panic meter. Justin Jefferson. So we saw what Jefferson was when McCarthy was there earlier in the season. He came back. He did score a touchdown this past week, but it hasn't been great. And obviously, you spent a pretty high pick on Justin Jefferson to have him on your team, and McCarthy now is back as the quarterback. Where's your panic meter at, Ryan, with Justin Jefferson rest of the season?
Well, I'm not panicked. Like, we've had one game under 7 targets, and that was week 2. He still produces startable. While it's not that super elite, you're still comfortable. He's going to get you double-digit points. You're going to be content. And hopefully, with how good some of the lower tier wide receivers, they just kind of flip flop their spots from the 2-1 wide receiver 1 and 2 for you. Like, it's not that bad. He is wide receiver 11. Like, this is looks similar to Genty. And everybody kind of bumped him in drafts this year where he wasn't the wide receiver 1. People were taking Chase over him. People were taking Amon Rod. People were taking Puka over him. He dipped a little bit because we were kind of prepared for it. It's, again, just people just overreacting for it in my eyes.
Yeah, I pulled up his game log, and at least in the league that I pulled up, he's double digits every single game this year in PPR. So, you
He's
know,
15 yards too, by the way.
yeah, he's not.
Like, it's just the touchdowns aren't there.
Yep, yep.
Like,
But he doesn't have
let's
spike games.
calm down.
Yeah,
Right. Let's calm.
but he's got some good matchups coming up, and he's got Baltimore next, and we know their defense isn't very good. Chicago, and he's got.
Quit taking shots at my boys, dude.
Sorry.
You're getting real annoying tonight.
The really nice thing is his playoff stretch here. So he's got Washington in the week 14 last game of the season. Then he's got Dallas in New York week 15 and week 16. He does finish up with Detroit, which is a little bit tougher, but that stretch there is going to be pretty good as well. What about you, Chu? How do you feel about Justin Jefferson the rest of the season?
Same thing, kind of like Ryan was talking about. It's kind of the Genty thought of like, Jefferson's not a rookie, so we've seen him produce, but I think we did collectively hamper expectations knowing that it was, and again, I'm not a JJ McCarthy believer. I know he had a better week this past week, but we were understanding that he wasn't getting the ball from, Sammy Ball game or anything like that. It was a quarterback who's learning the position in the NFL and who was known for being a competent quarterback surrounded by tremendous talent on both sides of the ball when he was in college. And this is the big dance. I mean, you can't hide behind that as much anymore. I know the Vikings have been lauded for a great defense and all that kind of stuff and good weapons. Again, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, but I mean, he's not what he has been the past couple of years, but you can't bench him. I think that's if you're panicking, you're not starting a player, and you're not going to bench Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, agreed.
No, you're going to take your points and you're going to be happy.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, I did like that. At least in this last game, McCarthy gave him 9 targets. So he was definitely looking his way. I think early in the season he was kind of scared to go his way. If he wasn't wide open, he wasn't pulling the trigger. But that touchdown pass this past game, he was covered. I mean, he was legit covered, and he still threw the pass, and Jefferson found a way to catch it. So that was definitely a room for some optimism there. All right, let's do one more, and then we'll get to our prop value boost. So I'm glad we got to this one. This is about all the trades that just happened. PPR Fantasy Tips on Twitter is talking about some guys who had some boosts, either the guys that got traded or the guys that are now taking those guys' place. Jacoby Myers, he's got as an up. Trey Tucker, of course, who's now stepping into the Myers role. Rashid Shaheed, who we already talked about. Of course, Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson, with Rashid Shaheed moving on. And then Sam Darnold, having Rashid Shaheed there. Talk about any of these guys here, Chu, or anybody else you think that had a value boost with the recent trades here.
Yeah, for Jacoby Myers, I don't know that I see a tremendous boost. I think his role is going to be fairly similar, and hopefully he has a better connection with Lawrence than Brian Thomas has had. But of course, if Lawrence is throwing Jacoby Myers hospital balls across the middle, then they're not going to be getting along very well. I think of these guys, I think Olave, I have a hard time seeing his target share increasing tremendously. I do think Juwan Johnson's does. It started off hot and kind of cooled off a little bit in the last couple of weeks. So I do think his stabilizes a little bit more to where it's Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson. No offense to them trading for Devon Vele at an absurd price earlier in the year. I don't think that's going to become a thing. But yeah, I really think Rashid Shaheed, Sam Darnold, that Seahawks offense as a whole, it's been great thus far, and I think it's going to only get better. So, I mean, from a real NFL standpoint, that's great for the Seahawks, but for Sam Darnold, that's going to be massive for anyone who waited and got him as a second quarterback. And, you had Joe Burrow go down, or, Jane Daniels went down. You have Sam Darnold, and he's going to have a stellar year.
Yeah, I love it. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on these guys here?
Definitely agree. I agree with almost everything he said. I think Sam Darnold's the biggest winner in this. And a lot of these guys, kind of like you said, it's not a ton that's going to change. As fun as it is to think it, Jacoby Myers' role is Jacoby Myers. He's been Jacoby Myers every team he's been in the league.
For sure.
How much better can Trey Tucker be from non-existent to a top 30 receiver? Shaheed's still kind of a big play guy. Olave's playing out of his mind. Like, I think a lot of it just kind of stays the same, which is cool and not bad. But I love it for Darnold. He's balling, dude.
Yeah, he is definitely balling. That last game where he had like 4 touchdowns. He had more touchdowns in the first half than he had incomplete passes, which is insane. But yeah, Darnold for sure. I think wheels up there. I don't know how you can improve JSN because he's already the best receiver in the NFL right now. But I think it does help JSN with Rashid Shaheed, being able to open up a little bit more, give them one more threat on the field. So JSN, if he could get better, he's going to be better. So I love that as well. And Juwan Johnson would be the one. I think Chris Olave, like you said, the target share is already there. He's already, I think, close to the top of the league in targets already. So how many more targets can he possibly get? Juwan Johnson will be the one that might get a little bit of a bump there. So I do like that call. But yeah, Darnold's the big winner, I think, for sure, with Shaheed coming there. All right. It is now time for our prop bets.
Prop bet of the week.
All right. Let's see. Prop bets this week. Of course, on Underdog. Make your picks. Make your calls, hit your picks, and win big with Underdog Pick'ems. Sign up using our promo code GF2 and get up to $1,000 in bonus bucks. That's free money. Start picking and winning today. And we're about to show you just how easy it is to play on Underdog. This week's theme, we always do a theme each week. It is called Midseason Blues. And what that means is we're picking players from only blue teams. We've got 3 players that I picked that their main color on their uniform is blue. And Ryan, you get the first one here, and it is Jonathan Taylor, higher or lower than 92.5 rushing yards. He has Atlanta this week.
I'm going to say under.
And they are where are they playing? Because it's at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So this is going to be one of those international games. I didn't look that up, so I'm not sure where they're playing this week.
They're done with London. I don't know where it is though.
Yeah, I know they have.
This is the one in Madrid.
No, I think the Madrid is the Commanders.
Okay.
Just because that might be an important thing to think about when you're thinking about international games, and they're essentially away games.
It's in Berlin.
Berlin. Okay, so 92.5 rushing yards in Berlin for Jonathan Taylor. Ryan, where are you going here?
I'm going under. I feel like 92 is a big number, and while he is obviously killing it this year, he's had a lot of games under that amount. And some of his, I'm going under this. Like I said, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We've had 5 games under that amount in almost a sixth. It's a big number.
It is.
Like, it's been either 130 plus or under that. Like, it's been super boomer bust. I'm going to take what's happened more.
Yeah, I like it. Going under the 92.5. All right, Shu. This next one I found interesting, which is why I put it on the list, because Jonathan Taylor's 92.5, but Rico Dowdle, his line is also 92.5. So are you going higher or lower on 92.5 for Rico Dowdle versus New Orleans?
This is one of those things where at the beginning of this season, even if the expectation was, it's because Rico's the starter because even if Chuba was hurt, you would not believe that Jonathan Taylor and Rico Dowdle have the same prop. But with that being said, I will be going over and call it blind optimism. But I know since he kind of started this tear starting with Miami, so 206, 183 against Dallas, 79 against the Jets, 54 against Buffalo, and then this past week, obviously getting 130 against the Packers, which, as was mentioned earlier in the show, was the most against the Packers thus far. New Orleans is terrible on defense. And I don't necessarily, again, it's divisional matchup. So I do firmly believe, any given Sunday mentality of like any team could do well, it can do bad. But also divisionally, you know, you never know what's going to happen there. But I don't believe in Tyler Shuck. I think he's terrible and he's not going to be the starter next year. So I'm not optimistic of the Saints putting up points or really stopping them. And barring Rico Dowdle being hurt, knock on wood, I think this thing's real wood. I trust that Rico Dowdle is going to be probably having another 100-yard game. But this is why the odds makers have their jobs, and they're probably going to crush my spirits.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The fact we're doing over this number on Rico and under Jonathan Taylor feels so wrong.
So wrong for sure.
I just wanted to sabotage this.
All right, I'm up next, and my prop is for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it is higher or lower than 80.5 receiving yards. And so we just kind of saw this, right? We just saw JSN go off on the Commanders, and I think Amon-Ra St. Brown plays a very similar role in this offense. He's only gone over this mark 4 times this season, but against Washington, I think he goes over again. I think Detroit finds a way to get him peppered with targets. The Commanders' defense is absolutely atrocious. They can't defend anybody. So I think I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown over or higher than 80.5 receiving yards. We'll go ahead and drop our $5 on there, pay out $30 if we win. And there it is. So let me recap it. We are going lower than 92.5 rushing yards for Jonathan Taylor. We are going higher than 92.5 rushing yards for Rico Dowdle, and we're going higher than 80.5 receiving yards for Amon-Ra St. Brown. One last time, guys, if you haven't played on Underdog, go sign up now. Use our promo code GF2 and get up to $1,000 in bonus bucks. It's super easy to play, a lot of fun, and definitely worth it. All right, it is now time for the Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Get ready for goingfor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, so it is my turn for the Forgotten Fantasy Player. So I got a guy that I think is pretty good. We'll start off with the first hint. He was a first-round pick in the year 2000 and played through 2011. He was a late bloomer. He didn't have his first 1,000-yard season until his, his 6th season. He had his first 1,000-yard season and then proceeded to have 4 more after that for a streak of 5 in a row of 1,000-yard seasons.
Rushing or receiving?
This is a running back. This is rushing.
Oh, okay.
You said his 5th season?
His 6th season. His 6th season, he had 1,335 yards in his 6th season. His best season was 2009, where he had 1,400 rushing yards and 14 total touchdowns. I'll let y'all think for a little bit. Want another hint?
Yeah.
All right. He played for 5 different NFL teams, but he's known most for 2 of them, which accounted for all 5 of his 1,000-yard seasons. And it obviously did not happen with the team that drafted him. So in his 6th season, he was on a new team, actually his 3rd team in his 6th year when he had 1,000+ yards. But the team that drafted him, you wouldn't think of him as on this team.
Not Corey Dillon.
Nope, not Corey Dillon. Good guess, though.
Am I in the right year range for him? I feel like that's...
I believe so, because I think he was also one that I considered when I was looking up the different stats for this guy. This is a tough one, because I honestly didn't realize he was this good either. You want me to give you...
Jonathan Stewart.
Nope. Another good guess, though. You're in the right era. You want me to give you the teams that he's not known for?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, there's 3 teams. He was drafted by Arizona. He also played in Tampa, and he played in Kansas City. Those are the 3 teams that he is not known for.
And the other 2 were where
Yep.
he got the 1,000-yard.
All the 1,000-yard seasons. Yep.
Okay.
You said the ones Arizona.
Arizona, Tampa Bay, and Kansas City.
And you said he wasn't
Is that
first rounder, right?
He was first round pick.
Okay.
To Arizona. I'm trying to go through old football cards in my head. Okay. What else you got?
All right. You want me to give you the 2 teams that he's known for? Or how about I just give you one of the teams he's known for?
Yeah, just one of them.
Okay.
All right. The team that he had his first 1,000-yard season with was the Chicago Bears.
Not Matt Forte.
Nope, not Matt Forte.
So 2000.
It was in the 2005 season, and it was his second year.
Cedric Benson.
No, but another good guess.
I don't know if he was a first rounder. Thomas Jones.
Thomas Jones. That's it.
Was he?
Jets legend. And Jets was this team where he killed it.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay.
Good job.
I don't remember Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona drafted him in 2000. He played there 3 years, never had over 500 yards rushing. Played 1 season in Tampa Bay where he had 600 yards rushing. And then his first year in Chicago, he got traded for draft picks. First year in Chicago had 948 yards, and then he had his 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. And then his 2009 was his last season with the Jets, and he had 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns.
Man.
If you would have said Jets, I think I would have got it, but not the Bears.
Yeah, that's why I went with the Bears instead of the Jets. Because, I think everybody thinks of him as Jets because that was definitely, when he was really killing it. I want to say he was like a top 10 running back that year. And he was 31 years old. Like, how often do you see that? His best season was 31 years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And when I looked him up, I was like, damn, I don't remember him being that much of a late bloomer. Like, I think in today's NFL, or at least in today's fantasy, he would have been dropped at that point, right? 6 years in, there's just no way.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. He'd be getting the Javonte Williams treatment.
Exactly. For sure. All right, fellas, that wraps up the show. I want to thank you both, as always, for joining me. I want to thank y'all in the chat. I saw a couple of y'all. Nemo Sosa's in the chat. Albert. I think that's Robbie in the chat. I am Pepsi person. So appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll go around the room real quick, guys. Give us your Twitter handle and what we can find you doing. We'll go to you first, Chew.
Twitter handle @Father Dynasty, and the website is fatherdynasty.com, which is the Substack, which is Faux Football, which also includes a podcast. And of course, the rankings are linked from there over to Fantasy Pros also.
Good stuff. Ryan?
Here, Rookie Big Board, our Dynasty Big Board podcast is back Thursday night, thank Jesus. And yeah, sometimes find me on Twitter, Foss534.
Good stuff. As always, guys, find me on Twitter @JeffLambert77. Make sure to catch all the shows on our network. We have my Friday show, the DFS show, on Friday night at 10:30. Then we also have Speak on It and the Fantasy Cheat Sheet on Tuesday nights. And you can join Jamie and Topher on Sunday mornings for our Sit Start show. So lots of stuff on the network. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And then for Ryan, I'm Geoff, and we will see y'all next week.